grave Abortion slaughters all! Abortion is anti-feminist! Abortion hurts women! Abortion is patriarchal oppression! Abortion is anti-feminist! Abortion is
Abortion is oppression. Abortion is violence. 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 Abortion is oppression.
Whereas if you look right behind
All right, folks, if you are just joining us, we do now have audio from outside the U.S. Supreme Court. Do just want to let you know, obviously there are protesters out there, so, strong language is possible on a live raw feed like this. Just want to give you that content warning there. We obviously cannot control what people say on either side of this issue, but we are taking a live look now with sound now. So just fair warning that this is a live feed. At some point, this camera's probably going to start getting ready for an 11 o'clock newscast there in DC, so it's possible that we'll have to flip this off at some point. But for the moment, we're taking a live look from our sister station, WUSA, raw feed there in Washington, D.C., outside the U.S. Supreme Court. For those of you who aren't sure what's going on right now, I'll get you up to speed. Basically, a draft opinion was circulated among Supreme Court justices that suggested that earlier this year, a majority of them had thrown support behind the idea of overturning the 1973 case Roe v. Wade, which had a major impact on abortion legislation nationwide. Now, all that, what I just said, is all based on a report published tonight by Politico. So the news outlet Politico published it. Now what Politico says is they got a hold of this 98-page draft opinion. They says it was leaked to them, and a person familiar with the Supreme Court proceedings in a Mississippi case which got this before the High Court basically made it available to them. So they've published this whole 98-page draft opinion. If you want to read through that, we have linked off to Politico from our site. Just go over to 10tampabay.com. We have the latest information there along with a link off to that draft opinion. And I want to let you know we have not independently confirmed the contents of this. A Supreme Court spokeswoman tonight telling our sister station the court has no comment. So us, the Associated Press, others have not confirmed the authenticity of this draft, but it certainly has had an impact, right? So an impact in the sense that there are now protesters outside the Supreme Court. We'll listen into what this person has to say real quick.
a lot of people here. There are more people on the other side than on your side. You don't think this will energize them to elect people that you might not want in office?
Well, the losing side is it's always easier to fundraise and mobilize when you're on the losing side, and that's why we as pro-lifers need to come forward in a more unified front and be a voice, loud voice as well out here. That's why we're out here. We knew people of the majority side of the other side were going to be out here, and we're going to be out here anyways.
I don't know if we can get into all this tonight, but you're in a pretty niche group of the anti-abortion side.
Yeah, we're the progressive anti-abortion uprising. We believe we can build a culture of life through leftist economic principles. We want to create an anti-abortion framework that also incorporates anti-capitalism.
Thanks, Lord Handy. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, so definitely people on both sides of the aisle on this issue out there tonight. We will absolutely have more of that content coming up in just about 10 minutes here on Nightside. Carolina Lead and Dave Wagner are going to have in-depth coverage of what is going on outside the Supreme Court right now. Again, you know, regardless of kind of whether this document turns out to be authentic or not, at this time Politico, of course, saying it is, it certainly has manifested itself in, you know, a lot of action outside the court. So you see a number of people have gathered already in response to that political story, which of course makes it germane to bring this to you and show you what's going on out there. Certainly Washington, D.C. has had its fair share of major events in the last year or so. So, you know, to catch you up to speed, if you guys are just joining us, of course, this is in response to Politico publishing a 98-page draft that they said was leaked that appears to show that the Supreme Court is planning to overturn Roe v. Wade. Of course, that was that 1973 abortion ruling. Interesting to note, that was a Supreme Court, a conservative-leaning Supreme Court that decided Roe v. Wade in the first place. So you hear a lot of people talk about a liberal versus conservative Supreme Court today. It was a conservative court that decided Roe v. Wade, and we have a conservative-leaning court now. So it's actually kind of apples to apples when you make the comparison to today. Certainly will be interesting to see if the court does lean in that direction and overturn the prior court's decision in any way. If Politico's reporting is correct, that does seem like what is going to happen here. Now, to be clear, the Supreme Court has yet to issue a ruling in this case. So just want to make that abundantly clear if you're just joining us. But, you know, and opinions of judges can definitely change throughout the drafting process. The court expected to issue an official ruling when the term is up, likely in late June or early July. So it's entirely possible that we hear nothing more from the court until we get to that time frame, until we get into the summer months. This draft that Politico says they have and have published, if true, is signed by Justice Alito. He would be a member of that 6-3 conservative leading majority. Alito, of course, was appointed by then President George W. Bush. And if the Politico reporting is correct, what he writes in there is that Roe was essentially wrong, or sorry, egregiously wrong was his words, from the start. So we're going to hop off here online, but now would be the time to turn your TVs on and switch over to our streaming services if you don't have regular TV anymore. We are going to have complete coverage coming up in just a matter of minutes at 11 o'clock on Nightside with Carolina Lead and Dave Wagner. They will have all of your updates, producers working on it as we speak. Certainly a lot of movement in the newsrooms, just as there is out there, as we get those stories together for you. If you are not in the Tampa Bay area and you'd like to watch us, we are streaming online at 10tampabay.com. We also have our OTT apps, which you can download on Roku or Fire TV. Just search for 10 Tampa Bay. With that, we'll leave you now, and we will see you in just a matter of minutes tonight on Nightside.